Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm not sure what I'm going to call this video yet, but I'm sure you can tell by the title that this is a more serious video. This isn't something I would usually do, just because my past videos are very, very happy and energetic, and I just seem like a very, very happy person. Well, I mean, everyone always comments and tells me they love my personality and they think I'm such a happy person. I'm so energetic and they love that. And thank you guys so much for commenting that. So this is probably not really an expected video. So it's pretty different than what I normally do on my channel. But it is definitely an issue I face. So I kind of wanted to talk about it, so maybe I could help someone else out. So yeah, I'm going to start by saying that I have been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and OCD. So I have those three things. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to like kind of break it up and talk about each one in an individual video, or if I'm just going to like start from the beginning and talk about it to a certain point and then continue it in another video. So we'll just see how that goes. But first, I guess I'm gonna start with my this is a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. I know, I don't know, I'm nervous that like people are gonna comment things, because I know a lot of people, like whenever they like put my anxiety story, people are like, oh wow, it seems like everyone who's on YouTube has anxiety. And I think that is because I think YouTube kind of draws in people with anxiety and kind of helps and makes them feel better in like kind of like a weird way. I don't know. I just know it helps my anxiety and it takes my mind off things, and so yeah, I think it just kind of it attracts people with anxiety or depression or different things like that. So yeah, so that's why I think a lot of people on YouTube have anxiety or depression. So I want to throw that out there first. So I guess I'm just gonna start my OCD. I'm gonna start with my OCD just because it developed the soonest, like the earliest. But I was just diagnosed with OCD in 2014. I was diagnosed with OCD, and then I was put on medication for my OCD. So I'm going to start with that part. The summer before fifth grade, that was whenever like the West Nile virus was a big deal. And so the summer before my fifth grade year, I would not go out of the house after 5 o'clock because I was so terrified of getting West Nile. I was terrified of getting bit by a mosquito and getting the West Nile virus. Even though it wasn't even in my area, I was just so terrified of it. And if you don't have OCD, you're probably like, wow, you sound crazy. Why would you do that? But if you do have OCD, then you totally know what I'm talking about. It was just something in my mind that told me if I went outside whenever it was dark outside and like mosquitoes were out, I was gonna get West Nile disease and die. So that's where it started, and now that I've been diagnosed with OCD, I know that I do have it. So then I'm gonna move on to my anxiety, because that's what happened next. This is probably gonna be a super long video. I'm so sorry. I'll probably break it up. So yeah. In 6th grade, I was bullied pretty bad by, it was only two girls. I was bullied pretty badly. I mean, it wasn't like severely bad, but, I was bullied to the point where I was making myself sick over it so that I didn't have to go to school. It was my 6th grade year, and I mean, they weren't like shoving me in lockers or anything, but I played basketball with these girls, and so during basketball they would like throw like we would be playing like a basketball game, and they would throw like the basketball at my feet so that I trip. We would be like running and stuff, and they would like kick their foot out so that I would trip and fall. They would like accidentally bump into me in the middle of the hallway and I would fall. They would say things about me behind my back, like really, really hurtful things. In sixth grade and like junior high and throughout a little bit of high school, but mostly junior high, I was very, very thin, and they started a rumor that I was anorexic and bulimic. And so they started that rumor, and a counselor actually came and talked to me about anorexia and bulimia. I was not either of those things, but everyone thought I was because they started this rumor, and so everyone had heard it. So, I mean, I was thin. I was, but that's just like my genes. My mom was very, very, very thin. So that was just my genes, and but everybody believed that story. But so yeah, that happened. And then it got to the point where I was just having really, really, really terrible stomach aches and was getting sick and vomiting, and like no one knew why I was having these things. I didn't even realize why I was getting so sick. And so I missed a lot of school. And my best friend's mom at the time, she's actually the one that kind of noticed that something was not right, because I was the type of person who before this happened, I would get up and do my hair every single morning. I would just be dressed up. And then once this started happening, I wouldn't do my hair, would just throw it up in a ponytail, and I would just wear sweatpants all the time. And I was not a person who wore sweatpants like ever to school. And so that's kind of how she knew that there was a problem. This ties into my anxiety thing, so just bear with me. And so that's how she knew. But then, so I started going to doctors. My mom got me doctor's appointments and stuff, and we were going to like a doctor about 2.5 hours away from where we live, because that's like the doctor. And they were actually thinking I had stomach cancer. And so like my parents just spent thousands of dollars on medical bills, just trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And the nurse and my basketball coach, and he was actually my sixth grade teacher as well, were actually the ones who figured out the nurse was actually the one that figured out I was being bullied, and then my basketball coach was actually the one that figured out who was doing it. And so the nurse called my mom and told her, she's like, I think Logan is being bullied, so you need to set her down and figure out who's doing it and why. And so yeah, and so that's what happened. She set me down and asked me, and it was just a terrible day. She actually like locked me and her in the bathroom. My friend was actually there that day, so it was super embarrassing. And she asked, like, because I wouldn't tell her. I was crying, and I wouldn't tell her because it was just, oh my God. Sixth grade was just a terrible, terrible time for me. It was one of the worst years of my life. But I eventually told her, and she went to the principal about it and told them. And also, I also want to mention that, well, I hope no one figures out who this is. One of the girls' moms actually worked at the school, and she would pull me out of class and ask me why I didn't like her daughter. So in a way, I was kind of being bullied by her mom as well. And so my mom went to the school and talked to the principal about it, and she's like, well, we've actually had a lot of complaints about these two girls, so we're definitely going to be doing something about it. And my basketball coach / sixth grade teacher was able to back up the story because he had seen some of the things that had happened. And so it actually stopped. I hate both of those girls that day. Well, I don't hate anybody because you're not supposed to hate anybody, but I strongly dislike both of those girls to this day, and I have absolutely nothing nice to say about them whatsoever. And speaking of one of those girls, she actually liked one of my photos on Instagram. So I think I'm gonna block her now, just because I have so much dislike for her. But yeah, so that is kind of where my anxiety kind of began. I was literally making myself sick. I didn't know it at the time, but I was making myself sick. I ended up in the hospital a couple of times during that time just because I was in so much pain and I just felt so terrible. And like, come to find out, my body was just handling the stress in such a bad way that I was like making myself sick without knowing I was physically making myself sick. So yeah, as you can tell, I handle stress really well. So that was kind of my first round with it. They stopped after that year, but 6th grade was not a good year. But they stopped. It lasted for probably about 3/4 of my 6th grade year, but then that last quarter, it kind of it stopped kind of right then, like actually kind of abruptly. So they must have gotten a pretty bad punishment. But I do know that there was quite a few girls that they were actually also doing it to, as well. And I missed a lot of school during that time. So yeah, that was not a good year for me. That is actually whenever I started really hating school and just didn't really like want to do it. I loved school up until that point, and I loved doing the work, and I was doing really well in school up until that point, and like you could tell my grades were slipping, and so that was another thing that happened. My grades slipped really badly, and that was kind of another telltale sign of what was happening. And so some teachers called my parents about that too. So 6th grade wasn't a good year. But that was kind of the start of my anxiety and kind of how I handled stress. So then 7th grade was fine, it went fine. And then 8th grade, towards like the end of 8th grade, I started like just getting kind of anxiety about like regular things, like normal things. And so I went to the doctor, and they put me on Lexapro. He put me on Lexapro, and I was fine with it. The nurse was actually so nice. She's like, I'm actually on Lexapro, and so is my son and my daughter, and all these people in her family were also on it. And so she tried to make me feel better about it, which I don't know. I think anxiety, I think you kind of have to, a lot of people don't think this, but I think you kind of need some type of medication to control it, but that's my personal opinion. So yeah, I did that, and this was actually this was after 8th grade. This was actually probably like right before I started my freshman year. And my doctor actually told me, he said, he told my mom actually whenever I was out in the hallway, he's like, you better get ready for this because she's gorgeous and she is definitely going to be bullied and ridiculed in high school. So, with that being said, my freshman year of high school, actually, I loved high school. I actually really loved high school. So I do want to put that out there. But my freshman year of high school, this is going to be such a long video. My freshman year of high school, I started dating a guy that I'd really liked forever. I was a freshman, he was a senior. And he'd never actually had a girlfriend until me. So because of that reason, I guess, I'm not really sure why, there was a group of girls that were a year older than me. They started bullying me. Not really, well, it's bullying. They would say things, really mean things behind my back and start rumors about me. And they would, I'm not really sure like what this was, but they would like do their hair like me. At least that's what they told other people, that's why their hair looked like a hot mess, because they were looking like me. I didn't think my hair looked bad my freshman year, but I don't know, maybe. And so they would dress like me, even though I didn't dress in a certain way. I just wore normal clothes. And so yeah, and they would like come up to me and like call me a bitch to my face, like as they were walking by. But the thing is, and I don't even know why, and I actually really regret this. I did not care. Like, I literally didn't care. I didn't stick up for myself, which this is what I regret. I regret not sticking up for myself. But literally, just because I guess I've been bullied before, not an ounce of me cared. Like, when they would say those things, I was just like, I know it's not true, so I don't care. Literally, I just didn't care at all. And I don't know how I could go from making myself sick over it to literally not caring even an ounce. But I just literally did not care. And, but it lasted most of my freshman year until I ended up breaking up with that guy because he was kind of sucky. Well, actually, he was really sucky. And, but I don't know if that was like, I did stand up for myself one time. I'll just leave that at that. I stood up for myself once. But I just honestly didn't care. And, like, I just don't know how I could go from, like, caring so much to literally not caring at all. I guess just because I didn't know, I knew that everything that they were saying wasn't true, and so I didn't care. And at that time, I had literally a great group of friends, and they stood up for me the whole entire time, and so that was really awesome. I just really didn't care, like, honestly, and I don't know how. I regret not sticking up for myself, but I'm glad I didn't care and I didn't let it affect me in any way possible. But all of high school, I was on Lexapro, just for my anxiety. Maybe it was my medicine that made me not care. I don't know, but I didn't care, and that actually made high school way better. And I loved high school, except for the fact of getting up. I hated getting up early and having to go to school. That's what I hated. But I loved high school. I thought it was so much fun, and my freshman and sophomore year was actually the funnest time I've ever had in high school, like actually going to school in high school. So yeah, I'm glad that I didn't let it affect me whatsoever, but I'm kind of upset that I didn't stick up for myself in any type of way. Like, I didn't say I'm not a bitch or whatever. But, so that is what happened then. So I think I'm going to stop this video here and continue it in another video. So it's probably going to be part 2. So watch out for that. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see part 2, just stay tuned for that. So thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.